In part 4 of the assignment, you're going to create a presentation, and then from that presentation, you're going to create an exploded diagram and parts list. When you're all done, it will look something like this. You can see how things are pulled apart through you do that in the presentation, and then this is just the drawing of the presentation where you create bubbles and then a parts list, as you can see here. So from Inventor, you first need your assembly finished and saved, and then we can go File, New, and you're going to go to the bottom where you create a standard presentation, and go Create. And then we need to find the correct file. Mine is in Assignment 3 there, and I'm just going to choose the assembly, the Gearbox assembly, and then open that up. And so now you can see we have the assembly in here. And what we're going to do is tweak the components where we can pull them apart. And basically what you can do is you can click on the tweak components, and then you can select different parts to tweak. So for example, this button head screw we're going to pull out, and we're going to pull out the washer and the spool and the spacer behind it and the bearing, and stretch them out in such a way that we can see them all, so someone that was assembling it could follow that picture, that diagram, to put it together. So when I click on that, it gives me this these three arrows on each of the axes, and also gives me planes that I can select in the directions that I'd like to move. And basically I want to go out. There's no outward button or outward arrow, but there's an inward arrow, and I can click and drag it, or I can type a specific distance. And so if you wanted more specific distances, like here it's negative 0.596, maybe I want to go negative 0.6. And then I can hit enter there, and it gives me that pulled out. Now maybe I want to pull this and the washer out further, so I can go tweak, and if I want to select multiple things, I would just hit control. Now I have an outward arrow, so I can click here, and maybe I want to go a half of an inch. Now before I hit enter, I can actually click another piece. I basically just hit a control click, and I can hit an arrow and pull that out an additional. Maybe I can pull it out 3/4 of an inch. I'm just making up these numbers, and you can choose those numbers as you wish. But notice it is just continuing to add new parts to a tweak. So now I can control click on the actual spacer here, and just continue to move this out. Maybe 0.5 inches. So notice I'm just continuing pulling things out, and they're added onto this tweak, and I'm just control clicking each new part, and then I can move those out. And then once I have maybe all of the ones that I want moved out, I can just hit enter. Notice if I hit the plus here, I can see all of the individual tweaks. So if I wanted to change a specific number, maybe I wanted to make that first tweak a different number, I could just change that and edit all of those as I would like. And so basically I'm stretching these out so a user or someone who looked at the exploded view could see all of the individual parts that were stacked up to make that. I'm going to create a new tweak basically to pull the nuts, and so I'm going to control select all of the nuts here and hit actually I hit the wrong button. I need to hit the tweak button, not the snapshot button, so click that. I'm going to go out maybe 2 inches. Okay, and if you hit enter, it jumps then to a completely new tweak. But if I don't hit enter and just hit control left click another piece, I basically have already tweaked these out or moved these out 2 inches, but now I can move this plate a little bit, and maybe I'll move the plate a half inch. and it continues to move the nuts out that far as well. I'm going to stop there. I think those are pulled apart enough on that side. Now I'm going to go on the other side. So I'm going to hit enter. Maybe I have to go here and hit enter. Now looking here, I could possibly pull these out. And so go tweak components, control left click here, and maybe move those out a 1/2 inch. Again, I'm just going with what maybe I feel comfortable. Since that isn't quite pulled out from the washer, I can go a little bit further. Okay. Now I can then click the washers and just continue this on. And then maybe I'll pull the handle. And so as you see, you can just continue to add on to those things. And then I'll click on the spacer. And then finally I might pull the bearings out. And so you can do the tweaks however you would like to. They don't have to be in any particular format, but you basically want to be able to see all of the individual parts and the best you can and get them in a position, in orientation where someone could understand how they would go together. Now, other things you can do is you can tweak things in more than one direction. Let me show you that. So let me select these four. Let's say we wanted to go out 2 inches, but then maybe I wanted to just go at a different direction, maybe up a 1/2 inch. Okay, and so it moves those kind of up and out of the way a little bit, and you can see that there's little lines that show where they actually go. And again, if you ever want to edit a tweak and you don't like how it's done, you could go here and actually change and delete one of those tweaks. So this was the straight out 2 inches, and then this was the up, and maybe I wanted to go up a different amount. Maybe I wanted that to be 1 inch. So you can always go back and edit a tweak that you made or delete a tweak. Okay. So once things are pulled apart, let me just go a little bit further. I'm going to tweak this out maybe an inch, or let's say we'll go 1/2 inch. Sorry, that noise is my dog. And it does look like I need to pull this out as well on this side. And so I'm going to take just a minute and do that. And so tweak this. And it will take a little bit of time to get the hang of how you can do all of these tweaks. But again, you can always go back. You're never stuck with one that you've done and you don't like. You can always undo or delete those or change them until you're happy. Since I pulled both plates apart, really the axles, I can pull those and maybe just leave the gears and leave these as in their original position, because any user could see where they go. And so in fact, you may not even need to move the axles. I think a person looking at this could understand where they go and how everything fits together. So once you have this, you do need to save it. And so we're going to save it. I'm going to give it the same name, Gearbox, but since it has a different extension .ipn, it will not overwrite the assembly file, which is a .iam file. So now that that's saved, I'm going to create I'm going to basically get a view that I like. So I'm going to move this around so I can see most of the parts. And then I'm going to zoom in and get a nice zoom in. And one way to do that is if you hit this zoom in window and just create a window around what you'd like to zoom in. It gives you a nice zoom feature there. Then you can create a new snapshot, and it creates a snapshot that you can use later to put into your drawing. And if you want to give another view, okay, maybe you want a view like this, we can create a new snapshot view. And now I'm going to save that. Then I'm going to create a new drawing. And from that drawing, we can actually place in those snapshot views. So I'm going to go File, New, Standard IDW, Create. And then on the base view, I can choose, a snapshot view that I've taken. So you can kind of look at the different snapshot views and choose which one you want. That one I don't want. It looks like I had taken that early, and it doesn't have everything pulled apart because I accidentally clicked on the snapshot view instead of the tweak. But I do like this one. And you can change if you want kind of a colored view here, or a shaded view, or a non-shaded, and then we can change the scale. I'm going to change the scale to make it a little bit larger. 3:1 looks a little bit large. Maybe 2 or 2.5:1, something like that. Seems reasonable. Then we can go OK. It looks like I deselected the shaded view. I think I prefer the shaded view, and so I'm going to just select that and go OK. And then we can start the next section, which is to label each of these and create a measured, and create a parts list. I'll do that in the next video.